Have you ever felt like your framework was just working against you? Well, today we're diving into a PHP framework called SimplON that is here to completely flip that script. It's built on a pretty radical idea that could fundamentally change how you build software, making it way faster, a lot simpler, and incredibly flexible.
So let me ask you something that probably hits a little too close to home. Have you ever had to add just one simple field to your application, and suddenly you find yourself digging through like 5 different files just to get it working? It is a massive headache, and it's the exact problem we are going to tackle today.
You know, this problem even has a name. I call it the framework maze. It's that frustrating tangle where one tiny idea, like adding a description field, sends you on this wild goose chase through models, views, controllers, and database migrations. And look, every single file you touch is another chance for something to go wrong, turning what really should be a 5-minute job into an hour-long ordeal.
And here it is, right here in black and white. The difference is just night and day. On the left, you've got that traditional MVC workflow. Modify the model, run a migration, go update the controller, then edit 2 separate views. It's this whole cascade of busy work. But then you look to the right. That's the promise of SimplON's data-oriented approach. One line, in one file, that's it. The entire change is done.
So you're probably asking, how is that even possible? Well, it all comes down to a totally different philosophy, a new way out of the maze. It's called the data-oriented approach, or DOA for short.
Now, the core idea behind DOA is actually super simple, but it is so powerful. Instead of scattering the DNA of a concept, like a user or a product, all over the place, you unify it. Everything the system needs to know about that thing lives in one central spot, this special kind of object they call an element. And this right here, this is the key. By encapsulating everything, you get rid of all that repetition. The rules for a piece of data live with the data itself. And what that means is you change it in one place, and that change magically reflects everywhere, automatically.
Okay, so theory's great, but how does this actually work? Well, the secret sauce, the magic that makes this whole thing possible, is metadata. You see, an element isn't just a bucket for data. It's data that actively describes itself to the rest of the system. Let's see what that looks like.
We're going to check out a really simple example from the SimplON docs for a class called AE_file, which is designed to handle file uploads. Now pay close attention, because these next few lines of code are about to generate an entire user interface from scratch. I'm not kidding.
This is it. This is the entire definition. We've got our class AE_file, and it extends the base SC element. And inside, we're just defining 3 simple properties: an auto-incrementing ID, a file field, and a text field for a description. It looks almost too simple, but hiding in these definitions is a massive amount of information the framework is about to use. First, just look at the class name, AE_file. By convention, SimplON instantly knows that this element's data should be stored in a database table named, you guessed it, AE_file. There are no configuration files to edit, no manual setup. The code itself is the configuration.
Okay, now let's zoom in on that description property. We're creating an SD text object, and that first parameter is the string description. That one single string now automatically becomes the user-facing label in every form, every list, and every view across the entire app. You define it once, right here, and you're done.
But what about that little S at the end? This is where the metadata gets really, really cool. That S is a flag. It literally tells the framework, hey, make sure you include this field in all the search forms. And that's it. You're not writing HTML or building queries, you're just adding a single character. It's kind of amazing.
And that S is just the tip of the iceberg. The framework has a whole bunch of these single-letter flags. Want to show a field in a list? Use L. Need to make it required? Add an R. Want to control if it shows up on create and update forms? Just use C and U. This gives you this incredibly fine-grained control over your entire UI and validation with almost zero effort.
Okay, so we've seen the theory, we've seen the metadata flags, but what does this actually build? Let's see how that one simple class file translates into a fully functional application using an example called DocuVault.
So remember that AE file class? The instant you save that file, SimplON uses all that metadata to generate a complete admin interface. You get a search page, a list view, create and update forms, a delete function, all of it fully working right out of the box. No templates, no controllers. It just works. And honestly, it gets even better. What if you want to categorize your files? Well, you just create another element, maybe AE_file type, and then you add this one single line to your AE_file class. This SD element container automatically creates the database relationship, and it renders a drop-down selector in the UI to link the two. Again, one line, and you get this massive piece of functionality.
This whole philosophy extends to even really complex topics, like permissions. Right there, inside your element, you can define rules. So, for example, you could say, for the role user, the update action is only allowed when the current user's ID matches the ID of the file's creator. All of your security, all of your business logic stays right there, encapsulated with the data it protects.
Now, all of this is incredibly efficient for building a single app. But now we need to zoom out, because the true power of this approach goes so much further. We're talking about a level of flexibility that can span entire systems.
See, because your elements are these pure, self-describing definitions of your data, they are completely decoupled from how that data is displayed or stored. This means the UI effectively becomes a pluggable module. You could render your app in HTML today, and then create a brand new renderer for a native desktop app tomorrow using the exact same element classes. The same goes for your database. You could switch from MySQL to a NoSQL database like Mongo without ever rewriting your core logic.
And that really leads us to our final thought. This isn't just about building faster. It's about building smarter, more future-proof systems. So I'll leave you with this question to chew on. What new possibilities open up when your core application logic is no longer chained to a specific interface or a specific database? What could you build then?